I found 10 of the best kept secrets at Lowe's from Kobalt, including this little gem hiding in the back. If you're working in a small shop like me, I'm in a little two-car garage. The space absolutely matters. The tools matter, and the budget definitely matters. So I went to Lowe's to find the best Kobalt tools that I could find for a small shop. And these 10 are shockingly good. I think you're gonna love them. Let's go. Thank you to Lowe's for sponsoring this video. If you'd like to check out any of the tools that I showed today, there'll be links in the description, the pinned comment, and that shop button right here on YouTube. First on the list, one of the most viral tools of 2024 was this little baby Kobalt toolbox. These things sold out like crazy right around Black Friday of 2024, and for good reason, because they are just so cool. These are probably the perfect little benchtop toolbox because you can just set them up there and keep your commonly used items in there, like maybe pencils or tape measures or other small parts. I like to keep some CNC parts in this one so that I can have them handy. The tape measure also fits in the bottom shelf. The upper two shelves are a little less deep, so you can keep smaller items in there, pencils, that sort of thing. Even my calipers up there. And then on the top, there's a soft pad so you can lay anything up there you want. These are stackable, so if you do get, I think the two tray one will fit on top of this. These do come in multiple colors. This one's blue, but I think they have black, white, camo, and a couple other different colors you could choose from. These are just fantastic. For less than $25, they're a no-brainer just to get one to put on your workbench, or at least on your toolbox or something like that. And speaking of the little tape measure you saw in that drawer, this is the Kobalt 12-foot tape measure. I like the 12 to 16-foot tape measure sizes in the shop because we're not measuring 25 or 30 feet objects most of the time, or at least most of us aren't. This one, the hidden gem here, is the fact that it does have those increments printed on there. We're looking at 1/8, the quarter, 3/8. And I found over the years, the audience, you guys, love it when these type tape measures come out that have that printed on there. It just makes things easier to read, less mistakes happen that way, and overall, people just like these better. This is also very well priced, so you can pick up a few of them, scatter them around the shop. That way you're never looking for one ever again. The next hidden gem, if you're in a small shop, you're gonna love this. This is the Kobalt Portable Workbench. Now there's a few things that make this workbench extremely nice. For one, the price, less than 100 bucks. It has several different ways that you can clamp things down, including these slotted holes that you can use your standard grip clamps or squeeze clamps on. That way you can clamp your stock down and work on it. It also has these 3/4 inch dog holes, so if you have dog accessories, you can drop those in there. I've got these. You can see I'm clamping the board with this one. Works extremely well. It also has built into the tabletop small parts trays for screws, bolts, nuts, things like that if you're working on a project. One thing I love about this thing is it's not very heavy. It's actually quite light for what you're getting, but it will hold up to 1,000 pounds if you get a single one of these. If you stack two together, they say 2,000 pound capacity. It also has increments on each side. On one side, it's metric. On the other side, it's in imperial. So no matter whichever camp you're in, you can measure things using the table, if that's what you do. I'm not sure how useful that is, but I know it's kind of a good rough guide if you're just trying to rough things out. It's kind of handy to have. It has a nice little safety pin here that locks this leg in so it won't move until you pull that pin out, and then you can start unfolding. And it even tells you open one, close one. That way it lets you know which one you're supposed to open and close first. I think that's pretty cool. Your total work surface here is 34 inches by 23 and just under a half. Looks like 7/16 of an inch. So a really good solid surface here. I think this is the perfect like portable miter saw station. If you're in a small shop, take this out, set your miter saw on it. And you can also set the miter saw down and then have all these clamping capabilities so you can build your projects on it. Really nice flat top. It's the way to go. Number 4 and number 5 on this list, the Kobalt XTR 24 volt drill and impact. The reason they're number 4 and 5 is I bought these separately. Both of them come with a charger, both of them come with a 4 amp hour battery, and both of them come in their own nice little carry case. Now I've heard from a bunch of you wanting me to check out these Kobalt 24 volt tools because you've been seriously impressed with them. I put these through some use and I'm quite impressed as well, especially with the power you're getting. And not only that, I really do like that they provide these carrying cases, and the ergonomics of these are fantastic. Like your hand fits, or my hand fits on these perfect. When you're using these quite a bit, the ergonomics matter to me, and I think it's really cool. Now this drill has 22 different torque settings on the chuck, and then of course you have the drill setting. It is also a 2-speed drill. Right on top, you flip that switch 1 and 2. I chucked into this Forstner bit and drilled 4 holes in quick succession. Like this thing blasted through this pine, no problem at all. No, zero issues with power here. Normal drilling operations, you're not gonna have any issues. Now this drill also comes with a handle, so if you are drilling larger holes or different things like that using hole saws, and you think it may get bound up, you may wanna install that handle. Now on this impact, it has a setting called Assist, and I really wasn't real sure what that was until I started messing with it. So you have 3 different speed settings, and then you have an Assist setting. The Assist will ramp up the power as needed. So if I'm driving this 4-inch screw in this pine board, it starts out kind of slow, helps you get that screw started, and then as it needs the power, it ramps up to max, or as max as it needs to drive the screw home. Has plenty of power to drive these 4-inch screws. I don't think you're gonna have any issues driving screws and things like that with this little impact. And again, the ergonomics on this are really nice. If you don't like the Assist, you can turn that off and just leave it at max power, because that's what most of us do anyway. I do like how inside the carry case there's a space for everything. The charger has its own space. There's actually 2 spots for batteries, one on the tool, one off tool. And then of course the tool can be in its own molded position as well. And then I love how they have their owner's manuals kind of tucked up in there. I think it's a nice touch. And these boxes are pretty nice for what you're getting. Keep your tools protected, especially if you're transporting them, or you just want to keep up with them in the shop. Now, building projects using your drills, your drivers, and things like that, you need a small parts organizer, and that's where number 6 comes into play. This is a 15 compartment small parts organizer from Kobalt, and I picked this up because you can never have enough screw storage, especially if you're building a lot of stuff. It's great to have everything nicely sorted. I can have my pocket screws sorted from my regular wood screws, and the longer screws have plenty of space in here. And because these dividers come out, I can store my pocket hole driver bit in there, as well as some other bits and things like that. And then of course it closes down nice and tight. Several different latches on here, keep everything nice and organized so your screws don't intermix with each other. And it's durable. For the price, these things are just too nice. You should pick up probably a couple of these, keep everything nice and sorted. Number 7 on the list is a hidden gem that I didn't know existed. I don't know why I didn't know this, but I didn't. This nice little hex key set. If you have tools in your shop, table saws, miter saws, jointers, planers, anything like that, a lot of times to change the bits and to change the blades and things like that out, you need a hex key of certain sizes. And if you get a new tool and you start putting it together, a lot of times you do need a hex key. Sometimes they provide those. A lot of times those are very cheaply made. I like this set because, and I picked it specifically because it has this handle. Now this handle will allow me to pick any of these hex keys, both SAE and metric, so you get both of those there. It does have that rounded bottom, and of course you can use this handle to fit whichever hex key you're going to use, and it gives you extra torque. The main thing I like is right here on the end. I can slip that in there, and now I get maximum torque on that hex key, but not only that, it gives me extra reach. So if I need to get up into tight spaces, things like that. I think this is a really cool set, especially for the price, and especially for all you're getting here with both the SAE/Imperial and metric versions, and the handle, all in a nice little package that'll fit in a little toolbox drawer. This also expands out so you can get to all of the wrenches depending on which one you need. It's just overall well made, well thought out. I like it. I like it a lot. Before we get to that little hidden gem right back there, you can put a cape on me and call me super impressed by this Kobalt Miter Saw. I picked this Kobalt Miter Saw because of you. You've been telling me, or at least a lot of you have been telling me, you've got to check out the Kobalt Miter Saw. And so I did. And there's a lot of features here that I'm very impressed with. First and foremost, it's compact. It's lightweight. So if you're in a small shop and you need to move things around, you can, because it's not overly heavy. And you're getting plenty of capacity there with a 10-inch miter saw. I have a 10-inch miter saw. I have had a 10-inch miter saw for a very long time. And I thought when I moved from 12-inch to 10-inch that I was going to miss the extra 2 inches. But I haven't. There's only been very few times, maybe twice, that I really did want a little bit of extra capacity, but it's not something that I couldn't overcome. And the space savings here is just key. And 12-inch saws are more expensive. First and foremost, as far as accuracy go, dead accurate. I was able to cut perfect 90 degrees, perfect 45-degree angles using this saw straight out of the box. There's a few things here that I really like about this saw. First and foremost, how the wings come out. There's little flip tabs on the very front, very easy to access. Flip those up, stretch those out. You've got extra material support for those longer boards. One of the main things I love about this saw is the cut line indicator. There's a shadow line on this blade. It has an LED light above it. It shines that shadow down so you can actually see where you're going to cut, including the teeth of the blade, which is going to show you exactly the kerf that you're going to be cutting out so you can get more precise cuts. Fantastic feature, very well done. There is an on-off button on the very top of this handle if you don't want that cut line. This does include the standard miter saw clamp if you want to use one of those. The fences both extend in and out depending on your bevel cuts, things like that. Make sure you extend those out. Before you do a bevel cut, ask me how I know. This will cut from 0 to 60 degrees to the right, 0 to 55 degrees to the left. That's a really good capacity on a 10-inch saw. One of the cool things about this is a dual bevel miter saw, but there's a knob right in the back that says single or dual bevel. So you can lock it in single bevel mode, or you can do dual bevel depending on what your needs are. And then to do the bevel, you don't have to reach around the back to find some knob back there that you have to twist or anything like a lot of miter saws have. This actually has it on the front, and I'm glad to see it. Flip this blue switch up on the top. It's a pretty good size. You're not gonna mistake it for anything else. Be able to bevel that to the left. If you want to go to the right, this switch in the back, you just flip over to dual bevel, and then you're able to go to the right. To lock it back at 0 at that positive stop, put it back in single bevel, go just past, lock it in place, then push the handle down, it's back at 0. Now this is a 10-inch saw, but it does also have that sliding feature. That way you'll be able to make those longer cuts or wider cuts like this wider board here. Overall, if you're looking for a nice miter saw and you're on a budget and you're in a small shop, this might be one to look at. Next on the list, a hidden gem at Lowe's, I think, are the Kobalt hand tools. Now you should check this kit out. This is a 297 piece kit. So if you're having to put together tools, you know, when you get the dust collector in, there's like 1,500 parts that you got to bolt together. It's going to be nice to have a nice kit to do that with, or the hundreds of honeydews you got to do around the house that just require wrenches or sockets, things like that. This is a 297 piece SAE and metric set. Check this out. You're getting sockets, ratchets, wrenches, all kinds of stuff in here. And the hidden gem, I think, is the fact that it's in its own carrying case. And inside, everything is nicely organized. So this is what I like most about these type sets. If I say take this T30 driver out, I'm gonna know it's missing and I need to find it, right? So no more 10mm sockets laying somewhere you don't know where they're at and you're gone. At least you know they're gone so you can go look for them. In the top of the box, you're gonna get some standard size nut drivers. You got the screwdriver that you can use with all of these driver bits up top, as well as some common size wrenches right here. All of it snapped in, all of it nice and organized. Under the phone, we've got our 3 size ratchets, half, 3/8, and 1/4 inch drive. Also have a SAE and metric hex keys in here, as well as a bunch of various different driver bits. Pretty much drive any screw you want with those. And inside these drawers, we have all of our sockets nicely organized. We have deep barrel, standard barrel, metric, imperial in both of these drawers, so you can keep everything nice and organized. Hey, look, it is true. 10mm sockets do exist, and you can keep them organized in this nice little pack. This might be the perfect little shop kit, or even to throw in the pickup so that you have some tools on hand in case something happens. Probably one of the coolest hidden gems at Lowe's is this little workbench, especially for small shops. I had zero idea this existed until I saw it online, and I knew I had to test it out because space is so important. If you're moving your tools in and out to work on them, this might be the perfect solution for you depending on what you're doing. For one, out of the box, super easy setup. Literally, you just drop these rolling feet on there. It has the casters already bolted on, so I appreciate that. There's 2 screws on each leg that you bolt on. After that, you're good to go. This does have a solid hardwood top, and there is a little catch right here to keep it from expanding when you don't want it to. You can roll this around. These casters are actually really nice, especially if you're having to roll this in and out, because I was rolling out in the grass. It worked just fine. I rolled it off of the driveway onto the sidewalk, no issues there. I think they went with the right size casters here so that it's actually mobile around the house. These are also locking casters, so you can lock them in place if you don't want it to roll. When you get ready to expand it, all you have to do is pop that catch up and then lift one side or the other. There's actually 2 handles there, and it's going to fold out into your workbench. That also includes a shelf on the bottom. You could actually leave it just like this if you so chose. When you are collapsing this, be cautious of this pinch point right there. There's a ton of warning labels right there because it could seriously do some damage, so make sure no kids are using this or anything like that, and you're aware of that pinch point. That's why these handles are there. That's where you should be collapsing and raising it. As far as raising it back up, very, very easy. Again, it comes right up. This thing is not overly heavy, although it is very sturdy when you have it all the way flat. If you're looking for a miter saw station, this might be the way to go. That's how I was using it. And then of course that shelf on the bottom, you can store extra tools or supplies or anything like that when you're building stuff. And of course, when you get ready to pack this up, you can easily convert it back to standing position. This is minimal floor space being taken up. And of course you can roll it and put it wherever you want it. I was using this for a miter saw station. However, you could also easily use this for an extra workspace if you're painting, finishing, anything like that, or even in a craft room or something like that, that you can put this up, put it away, or as a table to hold a laser or many other things that you need to, a space to do that. But the main feature here is the fact that I can take up very little floor space, but also have a nice size work table. The work surface is 52 inches wide and 24 inches deep, so that's a really nice size table that folds up to basically almost nothing. The capacity of this workbench is 400 pounds on the top, so 2 of me. And then on the bottom is 300 pounds. So you're getting plenty of capacity here to do most any project you're gonna want to do on a work table like this. My only real complaint about this design is I don't think it would make a perfect workbench because it's not completely flat. There is a slight arch here in the top because of this design, so you could work on one side. This side is completely flat. This side is completely flat, so I could set my miter saw on one side and work on the other side or whatever I needed to. It's just not an optimal workbench. Like if you're gonna be building projects on it. I think the one we showed previously would make a better workbench, but this would make a fine assembly table so long as it's smaller type projects or a miter saw station that you're rolling in and out. I think it'd be fine for that. But just know that this, at least this one I got, is not completely flat. It is slightly arched here where they join together. Is that a deal breaker? Let me know. Lowe's challenged me to find affordable woodworking tools, and I crushed the challenge. Go check it out. That video right there, click in the box, get you the big old virtual fist bump.